Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to TSK F1. I hope you guys are doing all right. It's Thursday, the 12th of January, 9 a.m. And hello, I'm Rich. I'm here with your latest F1 news. It's a little thin on the ground at the minute. Probably going to do a preview of the upcoming car reveals sometime soon as a separate video. But today we're going to be talking a little bit about Nico Hulkenberg. We're going to be talking about stewarding within Formula One, and I'm going to look at the Andretti Cadillac GM situation and, well, see what you guys think on that. There is a poll running in the chat whether you think Andretti will make it to the grid. But first of all, please do make sure you're smashing a like on the stream and also getting involved in the comments and subscribing. Good morning, everyone. How are we doing? So, first of all, we're just going to start on a couple of quotes. I mean, as you can expect, it's a little bit thin on the ground for news. It's not like there's tons of stuff coming out every single day right now in F1. It's soon going to ramp up, though, isn't it? Because we're entering that part of the year where we're about a month away from the first car reveals. I'm going to be bringing reactions and stuff to all of those, and it should be good stuff. Now, it's just Nico Hulkenberg being asked about Mick Schumacher and Haas, and has anything happened there, and did he know him, and stuff like that. And he just said, the story is now what it is. If it hadn't been me, maybe it would have been someone else. He's never had a relationship with Schumacher, and he hasn't spoken to him since, and they've never exchanged ideas before. So basically, you know, like there's no, if you like, relationship between Hulkenberg and Mick Schumacher. Hulkenberg always strikes me as quite a straight talking kind of dude, and you know, he's not particularly there to make friends or anything like that. But it was just a little quote that I came across. But the thing that I was interested in is that he's on about the fitness as well that's required to be within Formula One. And he says about it feels good to be back in. The volume and intensity in training has increased. So the last few years have been more relaxed. It feels good to get up in the morning and feel the body. But he's feeling the strain, and everyone suffers when it comes to Formula One and being fit. And it's interesting how Nico Hulkenberg, I'm not actually sure on Nico Hulkenberg's age. How old is he? Just yesterday we were talking about Alonso, but then again, I suppose Nico's only 35. He's a lot younger. For some reason, I had him a bit older than that. But he's talking about the fitness, but he's been away from Formula One, hasn't he? It's going to be an interesting season. I feel like Magnussen is going to outscore Hulkenberg. I'd love to know your opinions on that, what you think on that. Who do you think is going to score more points? It's a side thing here. Who do you think will score more points? I'd like to know your opinions. But we're going to move on, because that was only a little bit, on to FIA officiating. Let me find the correct one here. I think it's Mohammed Ben Sulayem, right? Who is the FIA president now. He's been talking about the officiating because, okay, we can talk about Abu Dhabi all you want, but clearly away from Abu Dhabi, I think most seasoned F1 fans would agree there is quite the inconsistency with officiating, isn't there? Like, you know, even if you take that whole thing away, that, you know, you get some penalties here, then someone at the next race does visibly basically exactly the same thing, but then there's no penalty, or one penalty is really harsh, then someone does the same thing and there's basically no penalty for it. So the inconsistency there is quite crazy. So I've got a few quotes here from Ben Sulayem here from gpfans.com, where he said there's a process now, and I have a team going through the proper process and training for stewarding, and for race directors. You cannot just have one race director and rely on them. We should prepare a second role. We cannot rely on one person in the biggest discipline that we have or any other discipline. I agree completely. I think most people would agree with that. What if something happened? If we're going to sustain motorsport, we have to be ready with training. And I feel like, I don't know how really to phrase this, but I think the loss of Charlie Whiting, I mean, that it's sad on a human level because he seemed a proper like gent of a you know. I think it also caught the FIA and F1 sort of off guard, you know, and not prepared because Formula One for years had been this Bernie Ecclestone, Charlie Whiting, circus. That's harsh. That makes it sound like it wasn't good, but you know what I mean. It had been those guys, and then you move Bernie Ecclestone on because it's time, and it's clear to everyone that it's time. But then you've still got Charlie Whiting, I think, wasn't he, for some time? And Charlie Whiting was so good at his job that I just don't think they were prepared in any way for replacing him at all. And then they did with, was it? I think it was Massey was the replacement, and I think they tried to sort of get cute with his roles and responsibilities there, and I think it backfired massively. Now, I think a lot of people place blame on Massey. I think, you know, okay, for his part, he didn't exactly shower himself in glory, but I think he was given like the mission objective of trying to keep the racing going, trying to keep the racing spicy, away from the whole team managers agreement, whatever it was, you know. And I think he was victim to the instructions he had, kind of thing, you know. And I think that's just unfortunate for him, and he was just trying to enforce what he was told, really. But the quotes go on to say, "I'm a big believer that there is, somewhere in the world, better race directors than anyone, better stewards." Now we're reaching out to the ASN, National Motorsport Authorities, and we are asking them to send us people for the training. And we have a proper team now for the training. You will get good officials. I promise this. And I think that's good. But I can't help but feel it's not that difficult, right? Maybe I should do this. It's not that difficult. Like, you have the racing regulations. You have the sporting regulations, and you have them set out. You have the technical regulations. It's not difficult to go, oh, that's what's just happened on track. That's point 26.1c. A driver shall not do this, that, and the other. Oh, then that's a penalty. Like, it's not difficult. As long as you can remain unbiased, it's not difficult, is it? And I don't really understand. I mean, it's good, but am I simplifying it too much? Like, you guys at home, how many times have you been at home and been watching the officiating in Formula One and screaming at the TV, "Don't do this, do that," you know, or "That's a penalty," or whatever, you know? It's not like football where it's a referee and the decision must be instant like that. If I don't know, Nico Hulkenberg crowds Oscar Piastri off the track and doesn't leave a car's width, if a penalty comes, what, 3-4 laps down the road, no one's gonna scream about it. You're gonna go, good, they're being consistent and they've given a penalty there, or whatever, you know, they've given something out. It's not, I don't really get why there has to be all this training and craziness. You've got a rule book, you've got eyes, apply the rules. I don't, maybe, I feel like maybe I'm oversimplifying it. I don't really know. I'd love your opinions on it, guys. I'd love your opinions on it. But I don't think the officiating is a very difficult job at all, because on the one hand, you have people watching who have opinions, but if you're applying rules, there's a rule book. If I was a race director, manager agreements would be out the window, driver agreements would be out the window. The rule book is the rule book, and the rules have to be ratified. Simple as that. There's no gentleman's agreements. If we're playing the game, we're playing the game, and it's by the rules, and that's how it is. But there you go. That's my opinion on it. But I'm quite a binary chap. Now, on to, I can't believe I've just been talking for 11 minutes about those two things. Right then, please do smash a like on the video, guys. It helps absolutely loads. This is a subject here which I've not covered live, specifically because I've been intending to make a video about it, and I haven't really had chance, unfortunately. But let's have maybe 15 minutes of talking about this. Now, there's a poll in chat. Will Andretti make it to the grid? At the moment, 57% of you are saying yes, which surprises me, but do get voting in the poll. Now, the Andretti Cadillac thing, you know, this is dragging on something crazy, and it's all got a little bit like soap opera. I don't really, again, understand what's going on. Audi wanted to be in it. They came in, they're in it. Who was it? Porsche wanted to be in it. They came in, they explored options, they've backed out, and they're not making a fuss, and I think they're still exploring options, right? Andretti want to come in, and all I'm seeing is pissing and moaning from all sides. It's weird. I can't get around it. Now, what seems to be one of the main holding points, before I get into what I'm going to be talking about with a couple of articles that I've seen, is that I think for 2021 there was a new Concord agreement, which is an agreement on finances and on all kinds of things, that all of the teams come together, and they all agreed that $200 million was the entry fee for a team to even get started in Formula One. An issue now is that pretty much all of the teams agree that that fee should be between 500 and 700 million, right? And that is directly correlated between it's prize money, basically. If another team enters and dilutes the grid, then other teams are going to lose money, and they want to be compensated for it. Now, I don't get why this is such an issue to people. I'm really, really surprised that this is an issue to people, because it makes complete sense. Okay, it's not the best thing for the sport, and I do want your opinions, and it's fine to disagree with me. Is it better for the sport that Andretti come in? I don't know. Is it? I feel like there'll be, let's be kind and say, bottom third of the grid for a substantial amount of time, right? The chances of them coming in and winning are about as close to zero as you can get to zero without being exactly zero. Like early days, I'm talking about, right? And I feel like if you can't raise that money to get started, then you're in trouble already. But like on the money side of things, right? Let's really break it down. Next season is the first season that Haas will be able to spend up to the cost cap next season. How long have they been in Formula One? Okay, so you could take your Red Bulls, your Mercedes, your Ferraris, and go, they've got enough money. They don't need this. They've got enough money. Okay, I take that. I probably agree with you. But then look further down the grid. Look at your Haas. Look at your Williams. Look at teams like that who don't spend up to the spend cap, who do need that prize money. They do need that prize money, like really badly, and it would impact them as a team. It just would, if they lose a percentage of that prize money because another team has come in. Now, I think it's very easy to look at it and talk about the big boys and get really annoyed that they're being greedy, but let me phrase it another way. Now, this is just devil's advocate. This is a hypothetical. What would you prefer? Would you prefer Andretti coming into the sport and in 3 years, because of the lowering of prize money for Williams, Williams no longer exists on the grid? Or would you prefer Andretti to never come in and keep Williams where they are? I'm not saying that's going to happen, but that's like a possibility. If they don't get some form of compensation, then it could be a possibility that the teams lower on the grid that don't have as much money don't get as much prize money, and because of that, they've got to make more cutbacks. They'll be even slower, or they just cease to exist on the Formula One grid because they can't afford it. You know, and these seem to be things that everyone's going over and looking over. You know, all I'm seeing is Andretti pissing and moaning that F1's being greedy. WEC's got an entry fee. NFL's got an entry fee. Bloody the NBA will have an entry fee. All sports will have an entry. British touring cars, you've got to be able to pay to us normal people a substantial amount of money to get your license, to get on the grid, to get your cars on the grid. And we're talking about probably, well, you could say the world's premier motorsport. It's not going to be cheap. But anyway, that was that little rant. Ian says, if they can be competitive within, say, 5 years, then yes. I think for a fan's perspective, it's something American fans can really relate to. I mean, I don't really care about that. I get it. The American fans and things like that. But I mean, Haas exist, right? But let's look at this then. So these articles are making me think: Are you serious? Right? So Cadillac boss Harvey admits it could be some time off, assuming it happens at all. We think that in terms of partnership between Andretti and General Motors and Cadillac, that we have a very good proposition. Wouldn't have gone forward in announcing our intent to submit an expression of interest if we didn't think it was a proposition that fulfilled the requirements and give us the ability to succeed. From that point of view, there is a long way to go yet in this process. The expression of interest and the details have not come out yet, so we have to go to that step first. So all we have at the moment that everyone went mad for is an intent to submit an expression of interest. What? So you're telling me that you might, maybe, probably submit that you're interested? I might release a press statement saying, I intend to submit an expression, I'm interested. Am I the only one? Like, it honestly, it seems madness to me, right? And this is the thing, right? This is the thing. There are conflicting stories, right? Because Andretti has also said, right, we've signed an agreement with a power unit supplier to begin with, right? That's a direct quote. We have signed an agreement with a power unit supplier to begin with. That's from Andretti, okay? Which is Renault. It's Renault. But, you know, we basically know it's Renault. But he also has said that the Cadillac thing, the GM thing, it's not just a naming thing because their intellectual property is going to be in the engine. It's not, is it? It's not, unless. But then again, I could be mistaken. Does Renault own GM or does GM own Renault? I actually don't know that. If they do, then fine. But he's saying two different things. I don't believe this is a serious thing. I really don't understand it. He's saying multiple things that are just like, it's just saying words. And I mean, I'm sure it is further on, but I'm just reading it again just to make sure I've got it right. But yeah, so on the one hand, in one report, Andretti is saying we've got a signed agreement with an engine supplier, meaning, and it's the worst kept secret ever, Renault have agreed, which is fine. There's nothing up with that. But and then on the other, he's saying, no, it's not just a naming deal with Cadillac. Their intellectual property is going to be in the engine. It's just not, is it? Unless, I suppose, you could get away with it if they make some kind of wiring loom or something for it. I just really don't... I'm not on board with it, and I haven't been. I've been hugely skeptical of this Andretti thing because I feel like if Andretti was serious, how long have we been listening to him now? How long has this Andretti stuff been going on? It's before the end of last season, right? That we heard Andretti were interested. Am I wrong? How long? Does anyone know? It's a fair while, right? It's a fair while. And we've heard murmurings of Audi previously about being an engine supplier for this current hybrid technology, and that fell through, and there were many and whatnot. And then we heard that Audi might be coming back into Formula One. They are. It's all done. It's all done. And I can't help but feel, even if Andretti really, really wants to be in Formula One, he doesn't have the backing. Okay, he's gone and spoke to GM and he's got Cadillac, but I can't help but feel still, if he really had the sponsorship, the money, the backing, it'd already be done. And I can't help but feel if he doesn't have the backing now, then all he's doing is putting the Andretti name on the grid to be at the back. And which, fine, if he wants to waste over £1 billion doing that, which it will cost. I mean, it's okay for you guys to have a different opinion. I genuinely want your opinions in chat. Do you disagree with me? So, he doesn't want to speculate. This is the GM boss. I don't want to speculate in terms of articles that have been written. Internally, we're super excited. I know from the Andretti organization's perspective, they're super excited. And we will do our very best in terms of our expression of interest to be able to showcase what we believe we can bring to F1. And we don't believe that this will impact any of our other series. This is from speedcafe.com. They are direct quotes, though. So then we're having a look at Andretti's quotes. We've signed an agreement with a power unit supplier to begin with. Then, as we move forward, we'll bring a lot of our expertise to create things for the future as well. We do have a large partnership with Honda. We also hope to compete against Honda as well. So we've got a natural respect of relationship. We'll talk about the engine at a later date. So it's just mixed. Like all of it seems to be around the fact the Andrettis are racers, so they should be involved in Formula One. I'm not against them having a team. Just show you mean it. And I don't get that vibe at all. But I don't know. Maybe I'm alone in that because everything is the Andrettis are racers. Look, we've got Cadillac. No one cares, mate. Put the money down, get in, do it. Get it done or stop, I don't know. It's the main news thing, but I'm bored of it. And I haven't even reported it yet because it's been going on for so long. Because I honestly haven't made any content particularly on this because I don't believe it. I honestly think it's... I don't know much about the Andrettis. I don't know much. I'm not going to lie. I don't know much about the Andrettis, but it does feel like a look at me exercise rather than doing anything. And if I'm wrong and they get into Formula One, then great. But 55% of you think, no, they're not going to get onto the grid at the moment. But there you go. I mean, I was hoping for some more opinions, but I didn't get them. But there we go. That is going to be me wrapping up because I don't think they're going to... I don't think they're serious at all. I think they're going to need... I think they're needing some major backing, and that's why they're being so public. And that's it. They need sponsorship, they need backing, and they haven't got it. But there we go, guys. I'm going to be live over on Twitch very, very shortly at twitch.tv/pitlanes. with some gaming, and I'll be back here at 9 a.m. tomorrow with whatever F1 news we have found. All right, guys, I will see you later. Cheers.